Hey everyone, we're back with another video, Opendoor Technology. If you follow Opendoor Technology, you have shares, you're very interested in the stock, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, and give a like on the video. Today we're going to look at the charts more so than the news. A lot of the news is pretty negative about Opendoor, talking about current situations, but here we look at the future. So here's a chart. On the monthly chart, we're still up a lot, 51 cents all the way to the 980 area, and now we are currently at $6.59. The main thing we need to do is not so much go up a lot just right now, but we need to hold our price. If we can hold the 5, the 6, the 7, that's actually going to be good. We can hover around the area. Yes, we need to go up to make money, to profit, but since we're up so much from the 51 cents area to way up here, the main goal is to hold. This is how far we have come with Opendoor Technology. $6.56 currently. Year to date, plus $4.97. We're up 312% year to date. So with any stock or even crypto, when you're up a lot of times you're not going to keep going up. You're either going to go right back to the bottom or you're going to come down some and hold. And what we're looking for is to come down some and hold until we get more news. And then once we get more news, we go back up again. So on a weekly chart, as I always say, we came from 51 cents to way up here. And if we can hold the middle of this big pump from 51 cents, that's going to be great. And we already touched the $4 to $5 area. So hopefully we don't go back down there again. We don't want to go back down there. We want to hold this 6 to 7. Holding this 6 to 7, even for weeks or for months, would actually be bullish for Opendoor because we're holding a price and people are selling, but we're still holding it because it shows the strength. In the daily chart, we have a strong green candle here. It tried to go down, but the bulls bought it all up from $5.24 all the way back up to $6.58 in just one day. So institutions are buying and insiders are definitely buying to create that uptrend just in one day. And now we're at the 4-hour chart. So this is where I want to be so we can see the support and resistance for Opendoor Technology. I drew 5 trend lines, or just 5 lines. And here we are with the support and resistance. We are currently in the middle of the support resistance area. We are trading between $5.94 and $6.86. The low support we're looking for on Opendoor Technology is going to be $5.32, $5.94. That's going to be the most recent that we want to hold if it does go lower, and $6.86 going to be resistance. $6.86 is going to be the first resistance for Opendoor Technology, and that's what we need to break on Monday or Tuesday, either or. If we break Monday, that's even better, all right? But that's going to be the first resistance at $6.86, and the support is going to be $5.94. Once we break $6.86, we're talking about the $7.31 resistance and then the $7.71 resistance. So that's going to be the key support resistance area that we're looking for. If you want to jot it down, screenshot it, take a picture, do what you want to do. But that's going to be set in stone, solid, until we break these trend lines, support or resistance. That's going to be it right there. 532, 594, 686, 749, and 780. If we start going below 594, it's going to be bearish. If we go below 532, it's extremely bearish. 686, starting to go back up again. 731, looking pretty bullish, looking like we're going in the right direction. And then 780 is going to be extremely bullish if we break that. Because if we break 780, we're back on top again. We're actually back in business if we break 780 for sure. And here's the 1 hourly chart. And as you can see, the moving average is right around 593 where I drew that support. So that's pretty solid support right there. 593 is going to be pretty solid. And that's going to be a key indicator of a support, and also a key indicator if we drop below it, going to 570, 560, 532, that we have some bearish movement. So even if we drop below 593 for a short term, for a short time, that's still going to be okay. A lot of times market makers will drop a price below the support just to get retail to sell, right? And it happens all the time. It happens every single day on every single stock you can think of. They play games dropping prices below support because market makers know that there's people out there drawing these trend lines, support and resistance. Support and resistance is not too hard to understand. So they'll drop the price below a support that we all see. And then they say, oh, the price went below the support, so time to sell. And they know that we're selling and they'll keep it there momentarily. Then once enough retail sell their shares or sell their calls, they'll bring the price back up right above the support. But to know if price is actually going to be bearish, it would break support, and then when it tries to break above that support again, it would fail. And then maybe a day or two, it would break the next support. To try to break above that support again, it would fail. And that's a bearish trend right there. But if it momentarily drops below support, maybe for 15 minutes or even an hour, and then comes above it, that's pretty much manipulation, playing games, market makers trying to get retail to sell. I was trying to see if I can find an example of that, but on Friday, there's no example at all because institutions and insiders are buying like crazy on Friday. And there's no market makers playing a game. It just went straight up. It went straight up from here. It never dipped below any support. Ever. It traded right above the moving average pretty much all day, right above the lower Bollinger Band pretty much all day. So they were just buying on Friday. I want to show you a support. I went back to October 27th. So right here, it's an example. Price was at $8.31 and it came down, and the support was right here at $7.98, right? People probably sold. They said, oh, it didn't hold support right here at $12.30. So people sold and said, oh, this is going down. Because it went from $7.98 support all the way to $7.85, right? And people sold, people started panicking and they sold the shares. And the next 15-minute candle, it went right back above support again at $7.98. And people who sold down here, they're wishing they hadn't sold. And guess what happened? Market makers brought it from $7.98 all the way to $8.48. Sometimes support, you have to wait and see. Don't just sell right away just because it broke support within 5 to 10, 15, 20 minutes. Got to see what's going to happen. But if it keeps going down, breaking support, failing to go back above that support, then you have a breakage of support and possibly that it will go down lower. A lot of times when I teach about trend lines, indicators, and resistance and support, I teach about, waiting for confirmation. So when the stock goes below the support, we need confirmation that it's going to keep going down lower. If not, then it's probably going to come back up. It's just manipulation. So that's why it's always key to look for confirmation in the stock price. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a long time. I want to compare Lennar to Opendoor. And a lot of people say that you can't compare them because they're doing two different things. But what I always say that they are in the housing sector, so they're somewhat similar. And the reason why I can say that is because Lennar had a nice run on July 25th, 2025, right? Now let's look at Opendoor when they had their nice run. So Lennar had a nice run July 25th, 108 to 143. That's a real nice run. So it started July 25th. Let's see what Opendoor was doing July 25th. Here we are, July 25th. This was the first week of Opendoor run. So it's pretty much almost the same thing. It started their run at the same time. Yeah, Opendoor had 3 weeks of red, but their run was still the same. A nice trend for Opendoor around the same time as Lennar had their run. Around July 18th, July 25th, then Lennar July 18th, July 25th. And this is how it looks on Lennar. I'll draw the trend line. Just like that. And Opendoor, just like that. Same thing. They do different things, but they are in the same sector, housing sector. Now let's see where Lennar started to go down. So Lennar started to go down September 12th. I'll draw the resistance line right here, and then the trend line showing it going down right here. So remember that date, September 12th. Let's see if Opendoor started to go down around that time as well. All right, Opendoor, here we are, September 12th. It was still having a little run. But that following week, that's when it started to have a downtrend as well. Draw a trend line like that. So same thing, almost the same thing. Opendoor and Lennar. Opendoor possibly could have had started going down September 12th, the same week as Lennar. But it's a possibility that there was a lot of hype with Opendoor on this last week candlestick. And institutions and insiders could have been selling at that time, but retail traders were still buying. So it made it a nice green candle when Lennar had a red candle. So that could have been a possibility. That's why the week after you see a red candle and a sharp downtrend with 5 weeks of red candles for Opendoor. So now when you look at the chart, we have 3 weeks of consolidation right here. And then we have this 1 week of red candle. But that's the same week we had earnings. So that's going to impact the candlestick and Opendoor. So this week coming up is going to be pretty important. To make this a bearish trend for Opendoor, next week we will have to trade in the low $6 area and lower to continue a downtrend for Opendoor. And this is how the downtrend will look like right here with this trend line And for that to happen, we would have to trade at the 593 and lower. For it to start going up, the trend line would look similar to this right here, like that. And for that to happen, we would need to break that 686 to $7.31. So if we trade within the 686 and higher, Opendoor would start an uptrend. If we start to trade around the 593, Opendoor would start a bearish downtrend. Of course, we always have to look for confirmation. Just because it touched 593 or lower doesn't mean the downtrend has started. It would have to go to 593 and lower, and then maybe a few days after that or a week after that, it would be in that same $5 area, or lower. That would be a bearish downtrend. For an uptrend, we have to go to 686 and slowly start to go up. That would be an uptrend. And that's how it looks on a 5-minute chart. It looks kind of crazy. A lot of lines and a lot of trend lines everywhere. But every line on here is actually key. A lot of lines here. And this is how I trade. I trade based on support, resistance, and then I look for breakage. Is it breaking that way? Up or down? And do we have the volume? Remember, volume is key with Opendoor. And the hourly chart for all these lines, it looks like madness. But I can see everything that's going on right here. I see everything. We break this little key area, uptrend, 3 resistance lines right here. Then right here will be the 2 support lines. Possible downtrend if we trade along this line. Possible uptrend if we trade along this line right here. Move it up a little bit, just like that. Like that. These 2 diagonal lines that's making an X would show uptrend or downtrend. And these horizontal lines are showing the support and resistance areas. All right, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and I always break down Opendoor completely. I get really technical because these stocks, you got to know the support and resistance. Not a lot of news coming out for Opendoor. So only way we can track what's going on, support, resistance, and volume. Look for key levels of where Opendoor is going up and down. Thanks everybody, and have a great rest of your day. See you Monday.